A chilling Christmas Eve in Middletown. It was a Christmas day that could have been lifted from the serene strokes of a Norman Rockwell painting, a picturesque scene etched in the snowy landscape of Middletown, Pennsylvania. The world outside appeared silent and peaceful, cloaked in the hush of a fresh blanket of new-fallen snow. However, the tranquility was a deceptive veneer, concealing the horrors that awaited within one particular snow-covered house. On the 800 block of North Union Street, the Wholaver family home, the festive red of blood stained the walls and floors, transforming the idyllic setting into a macabre tableau. Christmas 2002 would forever be etched in the collective memory of Middletown as a day of joy turned synonymous with a heart-wrenching triple murder. Amidst the gruesome scene, the lifeless bodies of a mother and her two daughters told a tale of unimaginable violence. Jean Wholaver, 43, and her daughters, 20-year-old Victoria and 15-year-old Elizabeth, had fallen victim to a terrible triple murder. Only a 9-month-old baby girl, Madison, would emerge from this nightmarish ordeal, left to cling to life amidst the bodies of her young mother, teenage aunt, and grandmother. As Middletown awoke to the news, a chilling reality set in. A joyful holiday had morphed into a day forever tainted by homicide. Families shattered, hearts broken, and a town plunged into shock, all on the eve of a celebration poised to honor the birth of Christ. The picturesque snowy landscape outside now stood in stark contrast to the horror that unfolded within. The Wholaver family, destined for a Christmas Eve gathering in Johnstown, never arrived. Jean's absence triggered immediate concern among her family members. A sense of foreboding crept in as calls went unanswered, and suspicions heightened when Jean's co-workers at Harrisburg Hospital noted her absence from her last shift before Christmas break. Snowflakes continued to fall on that Christmas morning as Middletown Police Sergeant Robert W. Givler responded to the call for a welfare check at the Wholaver house. What awaited him inside would haunt the community for years to come. The open garage door, the first sign that something was amiss, led him to a scene of unspeakable horror in the kitchen. Jean's lifeless form lay on the floor, a gunshot wound to her head. As the investigation unfolded, the brutality of the crime became increasingly apparent. The bodies of Victoria and Elizabeth, discovered upstairs in their bedrooms, bore the hallmarks of execution-style shootings. Next to Victoria's lifeless form lay her 9-month-old daughter, Madison, miraculously unharmed despite spending around 30 hours alone with the bodies of her mother, aunt, and grandmother. The crime scene, a grotesque mosaic of violence, prompted an immediate response from Middletown detectives and the Dauphin County District Attorney's Office. Despite the holiday, they navigated the snowstorm to unravel the mysteries hidden within the walls of the Wholaver home. Christmas in Middletown had been forever altered. The once joyous holiday now carried the weight of sorrow, a stain that no amount of snowfall could erase. The echoes of gunshots replaced the sounds of carolers, and the warmth of festive lights could not dispel the darkness that descended upon the town. The Christmas of 2002 had become a chilling chapter in Middletown's history, leaving the community to grapple with the aftermath of a triple murder that cast shadows over the memories of that fateful holiday. Unraveling a dark tale. In the wake of the Christmas Day massacre, Middletown found itself ensnared in a web of grief and speculation. The Wholaver family, once a unit bound by the anticipation of holiday festivities, now stood as a haunting reminder of the fragility of joy and the sinister undercurrents that can permeate seemingly idyllic lives. Jean Wholaver's family, struck by the absence of their punctual matriarch on Christmas Eve, had sensed the impending tragedy. Marion Bittman, Jean's mother, and Sarah I. Davis, her sister, were among the first to feel the chill of unease as they attempted to reach Jean on that ominous night. A phone call that went unanswered revealed an even grimmer truth: the phone lines at the Wholaver home had been deliberately severed. The unraveling of the Wholaver family's Christmas Eve unfolded like a macabre play, each act more harrowing than the last. Jean's co-workers, expecting her at Harrisburg Hospital, added to the growing concern. It was a snowy Christmas morning when Middletown Police Sergeant Robert W. Givler, responding to the call for a welfare check, stumbled upon the horrifying scene. Jean's lifeless legs sprawled on the kitchen floor were the first grim tableau, a silent witness to the violence that had unfolded. The investigation escalated as Givler, accompanied by another officer, ascended the stairs, unveiling the execution-style deaths of Victoria and Elizabeth in their respective bedrooms. Yet, amidst the tragedy, a fragile thread of hope clung to life. 9-month-old Madison, discovered next to her deceased mother, miraculously spared from the brutality. The arrival of Middletown detectives and the Dauphin County District Attorney's Office transformed the crime scene into a stage for the pursuit of justice. The snowstorm that continued to blanket Middletown seemed to mirror the collective grief of a town thrust into mourning. For Middletown Detective David Schweitzer, the Christmas morning discovery left an indelible mark. Every Christmas morning when I wake up, I wonder, will I get another phone call to go to a crime scene as gruesome? He later testified. The emotional toll extended beyond law enforcement, reaching Middletown Police Chief Keith Reese Miller, who reflected, "That was just the most horrible day." As the community grappled with the aftermath, the prosecutor, Dauphin County DA Fran Chardo, found himself unable to escape the specter of the Christmas Day murders. It speaks for itself. "It was an awful scene," he acknowledged in a recent interview. The juxtaposition of the holiday's joy and the heinous crime lingered, making it impossible to separate the two in the collective memory. For Jean Wholaver's family, the once joyous holiday had become a somber occasion. Sarah Davis, Jean's sister, articulated the profound impact on Christmas, declaring it one of the worst days of the year during court proceedings. The investigation, fueled by the immediacy of the crime scene and the need for answers, quickly honed in on a prime suspect, Ernest R. Wholaver Jr., Jean's 42-year-old ex-husband and the father of Victoria and Elizabeth. The pending trial on charges of molesting his daughters provided a chilling motive for the murders. The narrative of the Wholaver family's tragedy unfolded against the backdrop of abuse allegations that had come to light. Victoria and Elizabeth, the victims of their father's unspeakable actions, had accused him of molestation, setting the stage for a familial rupture that would culminate in the bloodshed of Christmas Eve. However, Chardo, the prosecutor, exercised caution, restraining himself and the investigative team from rushing to conclusions. The evidence, meticulously followed, inexorably led them to Ernest Wholaver. The motive, according to Chardo, was one of vengeance and a desperate bid to silence the accusers. As the pieces of this dark puzzle fell into place, the town of Middletown grappled with the stark reality that a seemingly peaceful family harbored secrets that would lead to a Christmas Day massacre. The Wholaver house, once a symbol of familial warmth, now stood as a chilling testament to the fragility of domesticity and the depths to which darkness could descend even on the holiest of nights. Echoes of a trial. The town of Middletown became a stage for a judicial drama, with the prosecution of Ernest R. Wholaver Jr. aiming to unveil the depths of darkness within the Wholaver family. As the legal proceedings unfolded, the community found itself grappling not only with the horror of the Christmas Day murders but also with the revelation of long-buried family secrets. Wholaver, painted by prosecutor Franchardo as a rapist and a murderer, stood accused of a crime that shattered the very foundation of familial trust. The trial, a tense and somber affair, provided a harrowing glimpse into the events leading up to that fateful Christmas Eve. The sexual abuse allegations leveled by Victoria and Elizabeth against their father cast a dark shadow over the courtroom. In chilling testimonies, the daughters detailed years of torment, exposing a facet of family life that had remained hidden from the outside world. Victoria, in her harrowing account, recounted instances of her father forcing her into her mother's lingerie, applying lipstick, and subjecting her to unspeakable acts. The courtroom, usually a bastion of legal decorum, became a theater of horrors as the intimate details of abuse unfolded. However, it was Elizabeth, the younger daughter known as Izzy, who, in death, became the unexpected whistleblower. At her funeral in Johnstown, mourners grappled with the incongruity of her seemingly upbeat demeanor juxtaposed against the dark secret she had courageously revealed. The funeral, intended as a final farewell, was marred by the intrusion of the murder investigation. Forensic experts, summoned at the last minute, performed additional tests on the bodies, postponing the burial. The Wholaver family's division, starkly evident at the funeral, mirrored the schisms that had led to the bloodshed. Ernest Wholaver's brother, Scott Wholaver, emerged as a crucial figure in the unfolding narrative. Incarcerated for his role in transporting Ernest to Middletown on the night of the crime, Scott walked a thin line between complicity and cooperation. His testimony, part of a plea deal, provided a crucial link to the murder weapon, a .22 caliber handgun hidden in the woods. The thaw of spring in 2003 brought forth damning evidence. Scott, led by a sense of guilt or a desire for redemption, guided investigators to the secluded spot in Clearfield County. There, a .22 caliber handgun and a shotgun, linked to the killings, were recovered. The forested scene, echoing with the cries of disturbed wildlife, became a silent witness to the unraveling of a murderous plot. The investigation, however, took an unexpected turn with a revelation that showcased the depth of Ernest Wholaver's malevolence. From behind bars, he concocted an elaborate scheme to divert blame and create an alibi. In a chilling jailhouse confession to an informant for the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, Wholaver wove a narrative that painted him as an unwitting observer rather than the orchestrator of the crime. In his tale, Wholaver claimed to have been outside the family home on Christmas Eve, watching his ex-wife through a window. He described breaking in to find Jean on the kitchen floor, shot but clinging to life. Upstairs, he discovered his two daughters, both dead from gunshot wounds, with a conveniently placed .22 caliber handgun gun on the floor. However, the most sinister aspect of Wholaver's narrative emerged in his desire for retribution. He accused his older daughter's estranged boyfriend, the father of her daughter Madison, of committing the murders. From behind bars, Wholaver sought to hire a hitman to exact revenge on the alleged perpetrator, spinning a web of deceit that extended beyond the confines of prison. The recordings of Wholaver's conversations with the undercover agent, played at trial, provided a chilling insight into the mind of a man devoid of remorse. The calm and calculated manner in which he discussed staging a suicide to exonerate himself revealed a depth of cold-bloodedness that sent shivers through the courtroom. As the trial unfolded, defense attorney Spiro T. Lapis vehemently proclaimed Wholaver's innocence on all counts. Lapis argued that the sexual abuse charges were fabrications, pointing to a diary entry by Elizabeth that allegedly contradicted the accusations. The absence of eyewitnesses to the crimes, coupled with the lack of medical evidence, formed the crux of the defense's argument. The prosecution, led by Chardo, painted a starkly different picture of Wholaver, a manipulative, lying murderer who sought to evade responsibility for his heinous acts. The recorded conversations, capturing Wholaver's attempt to orchestrate a hit from prison, exposed the extent of his malevolence. The jury, brought in from outside Dauphin County, delivered a verdict that left the community reeling. In a surprising twist, Wholaver was found not guilty of sexually assaulting his daughters, the very motive prosecutors had presented for the murders. Yet, the same jury found him guilty of killing his wife and daughters, along with the murder-for-hire plot and endangering Victoria Wholaver's infant daughter. The seemingly incongruent verdicts left both the defense and prosecution grappling with the complexity of human motivations and the elusive nature of justice. The murders, eliminating the witnesses to the abuse, had severed the crucial link between the motive and the crime. As the gavel fell, Wholaver's fate was sealed, a death sentence by lethal injection. The courtroom, once a battlefield of legal arguments, now echoed with the finality of justice served, albeit with a lingering sense of ambiguity. 20 years later, the state correctional institution Phoenix held Ernest Wholaver, still fighting against the impending execution. In the maze of legal proceedings, Wholaver sought to expunge the charges of rape from his criminal record, a desperate attempt to erase the motive for the murders and bolster his chances of appeal. The shadows of that Christmas Eve, etched into the collective memory of Middletown, continued to cast a long and haunting silhouette. The Wholaver house, now demolished and rebuilt, stood as a silent witness to a tragedy that unfolded within its walls. Madison, the 9-month-old survivor of that gruesome Christmas Eve, grew up under the shadow of a legacy stained by blood. Sheltered from the horrors of her infancy, she embarked on a journey of healing, her path intertwined with the memories of a mother she would never know. The whispers of her mother's sacrifice and the specter of violence cast a unique hue on her formative years. The chilling tale of the Wholaver family, with its layers of darkness and complexity, became a cautionary narrative whispered in hushed tones across generations. The memory of that Christmas day, where joy gave way to unspeakable horror, remained eternally woven into the fabric of Middletown's identity, casting a long and haunting shadow over the town's collective soul. A town forever changed by the chilling events of that Christmas day.